I think something that'd be really interesting to talk more about right now would be the importance of the spine, yoga, and I would love to get your take now on how does the spine relate to the chakra system, and how do practices like Kriya and Kundalini yoga, how does this influence the spine and the cerebral spinal fluid, and what's the importance of this and the implications of this for Kundalini?
Right. Well, if you know anything about the nervous system, it runs through the spine. The nervous system is directly correlated to the spine and the brain. Most of the world still is thinking of the brain as the operating system, when these ancient texts, from yogic texts to traditional Chinese medicine, they're talking about the spine. When you go into the deeper states of realization and going deep into your own state of being, you'll really find that the spine is the operator in which you're having these experiences. It's so easily tracked through just the nervous system itself. I mean, if you just look at the nervous system, you'll see how it scatters throughout the whole body and how any type of sense is felt through that, and as well as your organs are attached to that, the endocrine glands are attached to that, and how closely connected that is. Now, from the chakra standpoint, you can easily just discuss it through that same system, in which if you look at the dense clusters of nerves, you will find where we would articulate chakra points to be in our felt energetic presence. And so you can easily describe the chakra points as just the nervous plexuses that are in the body itself. Now, when it comes to the cerebral spinal fluid, a very important part of the energy in the body of fluid going up and down, spreading nutrients throughout the whole body, it's easily seen as the physical representation of something like Kundalini or the microcosmic orbit, for example. And so when you look at the yogic postures, such as the bandhas, for example, these locks that put your body in a very specific way, it creates the suction for the cerebral spinal fluid to move against gravity and then also bathe the body in that cerebral spinal fluid throughout the brain. Why this is really important to explain is that you can see it from the physical side. This is the as above, so below method. Obviously, the chakras aren't directly the nerves. When you feel the chakras, you're not feeling it only through the nervous system, but you are feeling it through the nervous system. It's not to take it away from it, but to show how in-depth these systems and how interconnected it is. So why is the spine super important? Well, that is the gateway into your actual consciousness, into your experience that you are trying to have. And so through stuff like the nervous system, through the posture of the cerebral spinal fluid, without good posture, that fluid is going to have a hard time flowing properly. And just the overall health and clearness and fluidity of your experience is dictated directly through the spine.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm with you there. And I know, like, I remember specifically from some Kriya texts that I read, that they kind of referred to doing Kriya or the Kundalini awakening as magnetizing the spine. Or, I know Janet Dixon calls it ionizing the spine, right? Which is kind of the same thing as magnetizing, right?
Right.
And so it's like, I think what, to reiterate kind of what you were getting at, I think, is that, like, you can change your energy body through changing your spine, or you can change your spine through changing your energy body, right? It's like, you can kind of go both ways about it. And probably it's best to go both ways about it if your goal, is expansion of consciousness and awareness, to, kind of work on yourself on the energy level and the physical level, right? And so I guess what would be, your suggestion or what you learned from experience as to, like, how you should maybe go about best balancing this, like, working on the spine from an energy level and a physical level. We're just like, what your general recommendations would be to someone who just doesn't know where to start.
Of course. Yeah. The best thing I would suggest someone to do is actually the mindfulness meditation. I think a lot of the times people are looking for these quick fixes. They're looking for a certain technique, these certain movements, these weird adjustments to get the spine to find its place. But everyone is such a unique expression that the spine itself is going to be in a unique position itself. So especially from the physical side, I think it's really important for you to get your own capability, your own yogic intelligence of your own body so that you have the wisdom to start fixing it. Obviously, you still want to have that curiosity from the outside world. You're not going to learn it just from direct insight. You need the mirrors, you need those techniques to help you figure it out. But without that clarity to see through the countless types of techniques and the countless types of you should do this, I think finding that clarity and finding your own sense is super important, both from a physical and an energetic side. Obviously, you have simple techniques, like you have those hatha yoga practices, like we do the mastering of the limbs is a great one. You have the microcosmic orbit, which is a great one, and stuff like that.
So, my question to you right now is, so we're talking about sort of using the spine as like a gateway, or just recognizing that it is the gateway to conscious awareness, and that it sort of, can be seen as like, one of the most central mechanisms at play to changes in your awareness or your consciousness, which we identified as magnetizing or ionizing the spine. And so, clearly that's sort of like the physical aspect of it, right? And so as your awareness expands, theoretically, that this is going to be correlated with an increased ionization of the spine, increased flow of cerebrospinal fluid to your brain, and all that is great. But so now, like, from an energy level perspective, like, how does that fit in with the chi body and sort of leading to realization of chi, and like chi being the source of life force rather than just like physical energy that you get from like food? Like, how does that energy perspective kind of fall into making everything work the way it does from the, like having the goal of expanding awareness?
Right. So when you really look at the subtle body, chi body, the energy, these layers of our experience that are, what we would call not in this material realm, it really shows a very similar story, but it really also shows how the universe itself kind of flows into existence. One of the best ways to explain it that I found is through just the simple mathematics of the Fibonacci sequence. What that is really showing on a lot of levels is the flow in which out of nothing, like the Big Bang, flew into existence, into these millions and thousands of things that we experience in the material world. What this is really simply said from the energetic and material world is that it is these subtle energies that actually formulate first into the material world. So a lot of times we are trying to work from the material world into the subtle world when we're coming from the material paradigm that most of modern society is in. But when you have these perspectives of the subtle energies of the chi body, you start to realize that they have the greater influence of these materialistic worlds. This is where Qigong, Tai Chi, and all these concepts really come from. As if we take Tai Chi, for example, that art was created by following the flow in which Qi does operate from a martial arts standpoint. And so it gave us a basis in which the body can flow in with the universe in a very specific way for fighting styles. So for example, any type of karate, all these type of martial arts have this basis of Tai Chi at the root, because Tai Chi is just following the energy system. It's the basis between all of these material frameworks. Now, how do you get into this from a spinal standpoint? How do you get it to in your awareness? Well, there's multiple ways to go about it. From my experience, what was really beneficial to me was obviously actual energy work. So Kriyas, for example. But what really skyrocketed mine was a Kundalini awakening. One of the great, miracles that happens during a Kundalini awakenings, the symptoms is that you have these, very, really perceptive understandings of the subtle body happen in your experience, and almost sudden cases that can last either for an instant or for way longer, depending on your ability to maintain the energy. So through those energy works like Kriyas, like Qigong practices and stuff, you can gain those type of awarenesses. For example, simple, just using your hands, rubbing them, and then feeling the magnetism of the hands is a simple Qi practiced for sensing. Now, when it comes to, that deeper level awareness, that steady state, the best way to articulate it is through that Kundalini system. Now, what you have to understand about Kundalini is that most people get it wrong. What Kundalini truly is, it's not this like subsection of energy that really, that blasts up your spine, opens your third eye and your crown chakra. But what it really is this pit. Kun comes from the word, the kun translates into pit. And so it's this pit of, reserved energy at the bottom of the spine. And so when you have a Kundalini awakening, you're allowing that pit to start circulating the energy that's already flowing in through you. This is life force, this is Qi, the multiple, frameworks and distinctions of Qi, but it's all that life force starting to flow with you. So that Kundalini is just awakening this internal flow throughout the spine, throughout the body, so that it's really starting to take place in your awareness at a way more, non-subtle approach. So when, classic Kundalini symptoms would be to have these type of crazy energetic experiences. A classic one is the inner conjunction, which we talk about the ionization of the spine. And that's directly what it feels like. It feels like you're getting a lightning strike from the crown straight to the base of the spine, back up. Like you're getting a full electron download and a full proton download, where you're seeing the energy super clearly. And right after that, your Qi is online. Like you'll feel the whole Qi body glow. Some people will visually see it. Some people will feel the warmth of the body, maybe a little bit of both. We have many texts, many saints like articulating the same thing. And along with that, once you have certain Kundalini awakening symptoms or any sort of, energetic awakening, you'll start to feel that Kundalini system, which is just this bubble elevator of energy pushing it up down the spine in this free-flowing manner, is when you really have these great senses of the Qi body. Now, how this pairs to the spine is that once you have this energy moving in a very free-flowing way, it is up to you as the mindfulness meditator to detach yourself from the doing of those experiences. The more you can detach yourself from the doing, the more it'll easily flow, and the more the spine and the proxy of the energy, as it's going into the material world, will start to loosen up itself. As you heal the energy, the physical side will heal. As you heal the physical, the energy side will heal. These two things are mirrors of each other. Whether if you want to talk about energy flowing into the material, they both work upon each other. You cannot disconnect these two systems.
All right. Yeah. So I guess just to recap a little bit of what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong. So, you can interact with the energy system via the spine, and the spine via the energy system. And, there's if you had to put a hierarchy on it, you would say that the energy system is predominant or primordial on the hierarchy to the material. And so way you would generally go about it is if you wanted to work on the energy level, you do some specific practices like Kriya, spinal breathing, or like Tai Chi, Qigong. And then so, with that, I guess that would be, you would say, like the most efficient thing you can do to, along with mindfulness meditation, like on a practical level.
Yeah. So along with all the laundry list of things that I've given y'all, the greatest thing that every tradition, I mean, you're talking about the shamans, you're talking about the mystic Kabbalists, you're talking about the Greek philosophers, to the yogis, to the Chinese medicine people, the way you work with energy is through the breath. I mean, the breath is directly connected to the chi on such an intimate level that it's almost impossible to describe. What we're seeing now in today's society is that the breath is creating such a stressor on the environment of the body that we're in this this chronic state of stress and chest breathing, shallow breathing, in which we're not actually really moving and letting the flow of the body truly operate. And so, this is why breath practices, this is why you see breath works becoming pretty popular with people like Wim Hof and these dynamic breaths, because they're really starting to show the body this mirror effect of, oh, this is how you can properly breathe. Once we push it to this extreme, now we can start to see what it really feels like to be in these rest and digest types of parasympathetic nervous system. And so when you start to learn how to breathe properly is when you can actually start really doing chi practices. Now, what does that really mean from a technique and physical side? I would stem way more on that pranayama, breath control type of side. Granted, this is not about holding your breath, but this is truly about becoming aware of how to breathe properly. This is, let's get people to just start belly breathing, for example. Obviously, this is not the end goal, but most people aren't belly breathing. They don't even know how to do it. They haven't done it since they were kids. But you look at those kids and they're all belly breathing. They all got their stomachs out, breathing fully with their body through the nose, not into the mouth. They are in that childlike wonder because they are the children. And one of the best ways to really articulate this to the scientific and material world is through the brainwaves. We can easily see the brainwaves being altered, which is altering our nervous system and the rest of our body, all through just the breath itself. And so, simply put, if you're actually breathing through the nose into the belly using the full diaphragm, you are creating this coherence in the brainwaves itself, as the brainwaves are just these byproducts of frequencies that's happening in the brain based off the environment of your nervous system. And so as you're breathing fully with the diaphragm, fully with the body itself, you can start to actually control both the frequency of the brain waves, which is going to be your state of being, which is going to be the state of your body, state of the nervous system, state of your experience. Now, why is this important from an energetic standpoint? And this is what true mastery of your energy is really like. You have this level of awareness of the breath that you can actually go down and slow it down, truly control it through just the heartbeat itself with heart rate variability training, where you can have this mind-heart coherence, where you're allowing this disconnect of watching how energy and the breath actually flow through you and not you controlling it, where you're getting into these crazier states of brainwaves that we've only kind of recently discovered through these meditating monks called Yama. And now these are for those transcendental states of realization that these non-dual people love to experience and try to articulate and get to. Now, what's really important is to know that those four brainwaves that are the predominant brainwaves, the non-gamma ones of beta, alpha, theta, and delta, rule majority of our conscious experience. We put gamma on the super conscious level of consciousness from the conscious and subconscious landscapes. But it is those beta, alpha brainwaves that are super key to articulating the breath itself and your state of being. What do I mean by all that? I mean, when you're shallow breathing itself, when you're in these stress states, the brainwave that you'll have the most predominant is beta. This is associated to the fight or flight of the nervous system, to the stressors of modern day. Once you turn to age 12, most people never get out of that predominant beta brainwave state of being. I mean, this is recorded time after time. Like, we have so many records, medical experiences that talk about this. Now, what most people refer to as the meditation or meditative states is that alpha brainwave. It's that connection to the subconscious and conscious mind that really allows you to still have that critical thinking, but allow that flow of your subconscious mind, of these greater levels of awareness to shine through your awareness and let it really articulate in your experience. And so mindfulness practice, breathing with your diaphragm, not these shallow breaths, breathing through the whole nose, through the sinuses itself, really starts to influence these brainwaves themselves and gets you into those flow states. Now, more and more, you practice these deeper states of stillness with the breath and all of these practices, you'll reach these theta and delta that you'll reach like in dream states, for example, in which, a lot of people like to say, it's like you're going back into the code of your brain. You're starting to actually now being able to figure out where there's bugs in your code, where you can actually align yourself in more subtle ways, but get you closer to the path you want to be on.